Have you ever found yourself cleaning up after dinner again and halfway through thought, why am I the only one doing this? Not because it's hard, but have you ever found yourself cleaning up after dinner again and halfway through thought, why am I the only one doing this? Not because it's hard, but because you feel like, why is it always me? This isn't fair. I don't usually notice I've overcommitted right in the moment. I notice it later, when I'm already doing the thing, and that's usually my clue. But here's the thing. Resentment usually isn't about the task itself. It's about the exchange. It's about value. And that's what we're talking about today. I'm Suzanne Arjona, and this is Life on Your Terms, where human design meets bold truth and permission to be real. You've played the role, you did what was expected, and now it's time to show up as you. In human design, the will center is about self-worth, resources, and willpower. It governs how we manage and exchange energy, what we agree to, what we promise, and what we feel responsible for. And when we say yes out of habit instead of intention, resentment is predictable. Now, if your will center is undefined, overcommitting can look like saying yes because you don't want to disappoint anyone, or because you want to prove that you're reliable, or because being the capable one feels safer than saying no. It's easy to tie your value to how much you do. But if your will center is defined, like mine, that doesn't make you immune to the problems. Defined will can genuinely carry a lot. You can handle things. You can commit and follow through. The challenge isn't proving your value. It's overestimating how much you can sustainably hold. Now, I've definitely found myself thinking, I can do this, it's fine. And technically, I can. Until I'm halfway through and thinking, why am I the only one carrying all of this? Defined or undefined, the pattern isn't about whether you have willpower. It's about how consciously you're choosing your commitments. And sometimes, especially if you have strong tribal energy like the 4521 channel, you're wired to step in and manage resources. I have that channel. So for me, it's very easy to see what needs to be handled and just handle it. It feels responsible. It feels efficient. It even feels loving. That tribal energy is caretaker energy. But that wiring can quietly turn into, I'll take care of it just because it's easier to just do it myself. And if you also have that channel or any really strong will energy tied to responsibility, you might recognize that pattern. And this is where resentment comes in. Resentment isn't you being dramatic or ungrateful. It's usually the first sign that something in the exchange feels off. At first, it sounds like, why am I the only one doing this? But underneath that, there's often a hidden question. Did I actually choose this? Or did I just step into it because that's what I always do? That feeling of resentment is the warning light, and it's pointing to something a little deeper, and it's usually about value. Somewhere along the way, you agreed to something without really checking what you expected in return. And when that expectation isn't met, even if it was never spoken, that's when it starts to feel unfair. So the next question becomes, how do you catch it earlier? How do you notice the moment before the resentment builds? Because it usually doesn't start when you're scrubbing the pan. It starts when you say yes, or when you don't say anything at all. What would it look like to pause instead? To check in with yourself before you automatically say, I'll do this. This is where your decision making in human design actually matters. Because if you don't know how you're designed to choose things, it's very easy to keep defaulting to habit. In human design, your authority is the part of you that's meant to make decisions. Not pressure, not habit, not expectation. And the more I've paid attention to this in my own life, the more I've realized overcommitting usually isn't about how much I can handle. It's about how I relate to my value. That's will center territory. It's the part of you that says, yeah, I'll handle that. It just steps in and takes it on. The resentment doesn't show up because I can't do it. It shows up when I acted on autopilot instead of choice. I might still be the one cleaning up the kitchen in the end, but I'm not doing it to prove anything. And I'm not doing it while quietly keeping score. And that's the shift. Now, if you're listening and thinking, I don't actually know how I'm wired to make decisions, or I'm not even sure how my will center works, it just means you've probably been running on habit. And once you understand your design, especially how you make commitments and how you relate to value, you start choosing differently. And that's where life starts to feel like it's actually yours. So if you're tired of defaulting to what you've always done, and you're ready to understand how you're actually wired to choose and commit, that's what we cover in a human design reading. We look at what's already there so you can stop second-guessing yourself and start choosing on purpose. Now, you'll find the details about readings in the show notes if you're interested. Thank you for being here with me this week. And if this episode resonated, I'd love for you to share it with one friend who might also be sitting in that quiet, this isn't fair feeling. It really does help the podcast grow, and it helps more women start having these conversations.